Arrival on Earth. Zadala and Naomi huddled together in the cramped confines of the escape pod, their hearts pounding with a mixture of fear and anticipation. The two young alien girls had fled their war-torn home planet, seeking refuge among the stars. As the pod hurtled through the inky void of space, Zyla wrapped a protective arm around her younger sister. "I'm scared," Naomi whispered, her large, luminous eyes brimming with tears. At just 6 years old, she struggled to comprehend the magnitude of their situation. Zilla, though only 10 herself, tried to be brave for her sister's sake. "It'll be all right," she soothed, gently stroking Naomi's silvery hair. "We'll find a new home, a safe place." Their pod, programmed with the coordinates of a distant blue planet called Earth, rocketed towards its destination. The girls had heard stories of this world, a place where they could begin anew, far from the chaos and destruction that had consumed their own society. As they breached Earth's atmosphere, the pod jolted and shuddered, the heat of re-entry enveloping them. Naomi cried out in terror, clinging tightly to her sister. Zilla gritted her teeth and braced for impact, praying to the stars for a safe landing. With a jarring thud, the pod crashed into a grassy field on the outskirts of a small town. The hatch hissed open, and the girls tumbled out, blinking in the bright sunlight of an alien world. Dazed and disoriented, they surveyed their surroundings, marveling at the vibrant colors and strange scents that assailed their senses. As fate would have it, their arrival did not go unnoticed. Mark and Emily, a kind-hearted human couple out for a weekend hike, witnessed the pod's descent and rushed to investigate. They found the frightened girls shivering in the shadow of their wrecked craft, and their hearts immediately went out to them. "Poor things," Emily murmured, approaching slowly so as not to startle them further. "They look so lost and alone." Mark nodded, a determined set to his jaw. "We can't just leave them here. They need help." The couple had always longed for children of their own, but biology had cruelly denied them that chance. Now, gazing upon these helpless alien waifs, they felt a stirring of parental instinct. With gentle coaxing and reassuring smiles, Mark and Emily managed to convince the girls to come with them, promising safety and care. Zella and Naomi, though wary at first, soon found themselves warming to their rescuers. The humans showed them nothing but kindness, providing food, shelter, and most importantly, a sense of belonging. In the weeks that followed, as the legal formalities of adoption were sorted out, the girls began to adjust to their new life on Earth. There were challenges, of course. Zyla and Naomi had to learn to hide their alien nature to blend in with human society. They struggled with the strange customs, the unfamiliar language, and the constant fear of discovery. But through it all, they had each other, and the unwavering love and support of their adoptive parents. As time passed, the scars of their past began to fade, replaced by the joys and triumphs of their new life. Zyla excelled in school, her quick mind and insatiable curiosity earning her top marks and the admiration of her teachers. Naomi, though still shy, blossomed under Emily's tender care, discovering a talent for art that allowed her to express the emotions she couldn't always put into words. Though they had found happiness and acceptance on Earth, the girls could never quite shake the feeling that they were different, that they didn't quite belong. Little did they know that their true heritage and the fate of their home world would one day come calling, forcing them to confront the past they had left behind. But for now, Zyla and Naomi were content to be the adopted daughters of Mark and Emily, to embrace the love and stability they had found in the arms of their human family. The future, with all its uncertainty and potential, stretched out before them, a blank canvas waiting to be painted in the colors of their dreams. Mysterious messages. Years slipped by, and Zilla and Naomi grew from uncertain youngsters into confident, capable young women. Now teenagers, they had all but forgotten their extraterrestrial origins, fully embracing their lives on Earth. They had friends, hobbies, and dreams for the future, just like any other human girls their age. But fate, it seemed, had not forgotten them. It began with a series of strange dreams, vivid and unsettling. Zyla found herself standing on a barren, war-torn landscape, the acrid smell of smoke and decay filling her nostrils. Shadowy figures moved in the distance, their voices carried on the wind, whispering in a language she couldn't quite remember. She would wake in a cold sweat, her heart pounding, filled with a sense of urgency she couldn't explain. Naomi, too, was plagued by nocturnal visions. In her dreams, she wandered through the halls of a grand palace, its walls adorned with intricate tapestries depicting scenes from a history she had never known. A regal woman with silver hair and sad eyes beckoned to her, reaching out with hands that dissolved into mist just before they could touch. The girls confided in each other, sharing their disturbing experiences in hushed whispers late at night. They knew with a certainty that defied logic that these were no ordinary dreams. Something was calling to them from across the stars, a mystery that demanded to be unraveled. Then the messages began to arrive. It started with a cryptic email appearing in Zilla's inbox from an untraceable address. The truth of your past lies in the stars, it read. Seek the answers in the place where you first touched the earth. Naomi received a similar message, scrawled in shimmering ink on a piece of parchment that materialized on her pillow overnight. Your destiny awaits, lost princesses. Follow the path of your dreams and reclaim what was stolen from you. The girls were both exhilarated and terrified by these enigmatic communications. They knew they should tell their parents, but something held them back. This was a mystery that belonged to them alone, a secret they had to unravel on their own terms. And so, in the dead of night, Zilla and Naomi snuck out of the house, determined to follow the clues that had been laid before them. They made their way to the field where they had first crashed all those years ago, their hearts pounding with a mixture of fear and anticipation. There, in the soft glow of the moonlight, they found a small, pulsing orb, half buried in the earth. It thrummed with an energy that seemed to call directly to their alien blood, awakening memories long suppressed. With trembling hands, Zyla reached out and touched the orb, and the world around them dissolved in a blaze of blinding light. When the light faded, the girls found themselves standing in a cavernous chamber, its walls etched with glowing symbols that danced and shimmered before their eyes. In the center of the room stood a towering holographic projection of a man they had never seen before, his face regal and careworn. Zyla Naomi, he spoke, his voice rich with emotion. My beloved daughters, if you are seeing this, then the time has come for you to learn the truth of your heritage and the dire state of our world. The girls listened, transfixed as the hologram began to weave a tale of royalty and betrayal, of a planet on the brink of collapse, and the desperate gamble that had sent them across the stars. With each revelation, the pieces of their fragmented past fell into place, forming a picture they could scarcely believe. They were princesses, the rightful heirs to a throne usurped by treachery and deceit. Their parents, the true king and queen, had sacrificed everything to ensure their safety, sending them to Earth in the hope that they might one day return to set things right. As the hologram flickered and faded, leaving them in stunned silence, Zilla and Naomi knew that their lives had been irrevocably changed. The truth of their past had been revealed, and with it the weight of their destiny. They were no longer just ordinary girls, but the last hope of a world in peril. With heavy hearts and determined spirits, they prepared to embark on a journey that would take them back to the stars, back to the realm they had left behind. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. They would face it together, armed with the love and strength they had found in their human family, and the courage that flowed in their alien blood. Revelations and reunions. In the wake of their startling discovery, Zyla and Naomi found themselves grappling with a whirlwind of emotions. Shock, disbelief, and a profound sense of displacement warred within them as they struggled to come to terms with their true identities. They were princesses, the daughters of alien royalty, and the fate of an entire world now rested on their young shoulders. As they sat in the cavernous chamber, the weight of their newfound knowledge pressing down upon them, a shimmering portal began to coalesce before their eyes. It pulsed with an ethereal light, beckoning them forward, towards the truth that awaited on the other side. With a shared glance of determination, Zilla and Naomi clasped hands and stepped through the portal, leaving behind the only world they had ever known. In a dizzying rush of light and sound, they found themselves transported across the vast reaches of space, hurtling towards the planet of their birth. When the disorientation faded, they stood in a grand hall, its soaring ceilings and ornate columns speaking to a grandeur long lost. Before them, seated on twin thrones of shimmering crystal, were two figures that seemed to embody the very essence of royalty. Mother? Father? Zyla whispered, her voice trembling with a mixture of hope and trepidation. The regal woman rose from her throne, her silver hair cascading down her back like a river of starlight. My precious girls, she breathed, her eyes brimming with tears of joy. You've come home to us at last. In a blur of movement, the king and queen swept their long-lost daughters into a tight embrace, their tears mingling as they held each other close. For a long moment, the family remained locked in their reunion, the years of separation melting away in the face of their overwhelming emotions. As they parted, the king regarded Zillah and Naomi with a solemn gaze. "My daughters," he began, his voice heavy with the weight of his words. "We have much to discuss, and little time in which to do it." Over the next several hours, the true scope of their people's plight was laid bare before them. The traitorous faction that had seized power in their absence had driven the planet to the brink of collapse, stripping its resources and oppressing its people in a brutal bid for dominance. The once thriving world was now a shadow of its former self, its cities crumbling and its spirit all but broken. "We need you, Zillah and Naomi," the queen implored, her eyes shining with a fierce determination. "Only the true heirs to the throne can unite our people and lead them out of this darkness. It is your birthright and your destiny." The girls listened, their hearts heavy with the burden of responsibility that had been thrust upon them. They thought of their lives on Earth, of the love and happiness they had found with their adoptive family. Could they really leave all of that behind? Could they turn their backs on the only home they had ever known? But as they looked into the faces of their biological parents, saw the desperation and hope etched into every line, they knew that they had no choice. This was their duty, their calling. They had to save their people, no matter the cost. "We'll do it," Zyla declared, her voice ringing with a strength she hadn't known she possessed. "We'll take back our world and make things right." Naomi nodded, her eyes blazing with a fierce determination. "Our people need us. We can't let them down." And so, with heavy hearts and steely resolve, Zillah and Naomi prepared to leave behind the life they had known and embrace the destiny that awaited them. They knew that the road ahead would be fraught with danger and uncertainty, but they also knew that they had each other and the love of both their human and alien families to guide them. As they stood on the threshold of their new lives, ready to take the first steps towards reclaiming their birthright, Zillah and Naomi drew strength from the knowledge that they were not alone. They were the lost princesses, the hope of a world in peril, and together they would face whatever challenges lay ahead and emerge victorious. Return to their realm. With the truth of their heritage revealed and the dire state of their home world laid bare before them, Zillah and Naomi knew that they could not turn their backs on their people. The weight of their royal duties hung heavy upon their shoulders, a mantle they had never asked for but could not refuse. Yet even as they steeled themselves for the challenges ahead, the girls' hearts were torn asunder by the thought of leaving behind the only life they had ever known. Earth had been their sanctuary, their haven, the place where they had found love, acceptance, and a sense of belonging. To abandon it now, to turn their backs on the family that had taken them in and cherished them as their own, seemed an almost unbearable sacrifice. In the quiet of their childhood bedroom, Stella and Naomi sat side by side, their hands clasped tightly as they struggled to find the words to say goodbye. How could they explain to their adoptive parents the incredible turn their lives had taken? How could they make them understand the duty that called them back to the stars, the fate of an entire world resting on their young shoulders? With heavy hearts, they made their way downstairs, finding Mark and Emily seated at the kitchen table, their faces etched with concern. They had noticed the change in their daughters, the distant looks and hushed conversations, and feared that something was terribly wrong. "Mom, Dad," Zyla began, her voice trembling with emotion. "We need to talk." Over the course of the next several hours, the girls poured out their story, revealing the truth of their origins and the desperate plight of their home world. They spoke of the messages that had haunted their dreams, a holographic figure who had called them back to their destiny, and the incredible journey that lay ahead. Mark and Emily listened in stunned silence, their hearts breaking with each word. They had always known that their daughters were special, that there was something unique and wonderful about them that set them apart. But never in their wildest dreams had they imagined a tale of alien royalty and interstellar intrigue. As the girls finished their story, Emily reached out and took their hands in her own, her eyes shining with tears of pride and sorrow. "We always knew this day might come," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "From the moment we found you, we knew that you were destined for something greater than an ordinary life on Earth." Mark nodded, his own eyes suspiciously bright. "Your mother and I have always been so proud of you, so honored to call you our daughters. And though it breaks our hearts to let you go, we know that this is the path you were meant to walk." In a rush of tears and embraces, the family clung to each other, pouring out all the love and support they had nurtured over the years. They knew that this was not goodbye, not truly, for the bonds of love and family transcended the vast reaches of space and time. As Zyla and Naomi prepared to depart, to step through the shimmering portal that would carry them back to the world of their birth. They paused to take one last look at the home they had known. The memories of laughter and joy, of trials and triumphs, washed over them in a bittersweet wave, forever etched into their hearts. With a final embrace and whispered words of love, the girls stepped forward, ready to embrace their destiny. The portal pulsed and shimmered, a doorway to a future both terrifying and exhilarating. Hand in hand, Zyla and Naomi crossed the threshold, leaving behind the world they had known and the family they had cherished. As the light of the portal faded, Mark and Emily stood in the empty silence of their home, their hearts filled with a mixture of pride and sorrow. They knew that their daughters were setting out on a journey that would test them in ways they could scarcely imagine, but they also knew that they had given them the strength, the courage, and the love to face whatever challenges lay ahead. And though the future was uncertain, one thing was clear. No matter how far they roamed or what trials they faced, Zyla and Naomi would always carry a piece of earth and the love of their human family with them. It was a bond that could never be broken, a light that would guide them through even the darkest of times. The battle for the throne. As Zyla and Naomi emerged from the shimmering portal, the weight of their destiny settled upon their shoulders like a tangible force. The once vibrant world of their birth stretched out before them, a shattered remnant of its former glory. The soaring spires of the capital city lay in ruins, the streets choked with rubble and the air thick with the acrid stench of despair. The girls exchanged a glance, their eyes hardening with resolve. This was their kingdom, their birthright, and they would not let it fall to ruin. With determined strides, they made their way to the heart of the city, to the grand palace that had once been the jewel of their world. As they approached the towering gates, a hush fell over the gathered crowd. Whispers rippled through the throng, the people's eyes widening with recognition and hope. The lost princesses had returned, the rightful heirs to the throne come to reclaim what was theirs. But their path would not be an easy one. The traitorous faction that had seized power in their absence stood ready to defend their ill-gotten gains. Their ranks swelled with mercenaries and loyal sycophants. At their head stood a figure cloaked in shadow, his face twisted with malice and ambition. "So," he sneered, his voice dripping with disdain, "the prodigal daughter's return. You think you can just waltz in and take back what is mine?" Zala stepped forward, her chin held high. "This throne is not yours, usurper," she declared, her voice ringing with authority. "It belongs to the people and to the rightful heirs of the royal bloodline." The figure laughed, a harsh, grating sound. "Rightful heirs? You are nothing but children, playing at a game you cannot hope to win. This world is mine, and I will not surrender it to the likes of you." With a roar of defiance, the usurper's forces surged forward, a tide of violence and hatred threatening to engulf the girls and their fledgling resistance. But Zadla and Naomi stood firm, their eyes blazing with a power born of their indomitable human spirit. They had learned much in their time on Earth, had been shaped by the love and compassion of their adoptive family. They had witnessed the incredible resilience of the human race, had seen how even in the darkest of times, hope and unity could light the way. And now they brought that light to bear against the darkness that threatened to consume their world. With words of inspiration and acts of bravery, they rallied their people, forging a resistance from the scattered remnants of a broken society. Across the planet, in hidden strongholds and secret meetings, the people of the realm began to stir, to remember the strength and courage that had once defined them. They looked to Zillah and Naomi as beacons of hope, as the leaders they had been waiting for all these long, dark years. The battle for the throne was long and brutal, a war waged not just with weapons, but with ideas and ideals. The usurper fought with all the cruel cunning of a tyrant, his every move designed to crush the spirit of the resistance. But Zillah and Naomi met him at every turn, their resolve unwavering, their hearts alight with the fire of righteousness. In the end, it was not superior numbers or firepower that won the day, but the unbreakable bond of a people united in hope and determination. The usurper's forces crumbled, his support evaporating like mist before the rising sun. And as the dust of the final battle settled, Zyla and Naomi stood victorious, their birthright reclaimed at last. But even in triumph, the young queens knew that their true work was only beginning. A throne was not a prize to be won, but a sacred trust, a duty to the people they had sworn to serve. And serve they would, with all the compassion and wisdom they had learned in their time on Earth. Under their guiding hands, the shattered remnants of their world began to heal, to rebuild and renew. The scars of the past would never fully fade, but in time they would become a testament to the enduring spirit of a people who had faced the darkness and emerged stronger for it. And though they were now light years from the blue planet they had once called home, Zilla and Naomi knew that they carried the best of humanity within them, a legacy of love and hope that would endure for generations to come. They were the daughters of two worlds, the bridge between the stars, and in their hearts, the light of earth and the spirit of their people would forever shine as one.